Imagine the scene. A woman comes home after a long day at work, exhausted, but relieved to finally rest. When looking for your new car in place as usual, the heart shoots. The vehicle disappeared. At home, her husband is stretched on the couch, indifferent, as if nothing had happened. When she asks for the car, the answer is a cruel disdain. Why did this silly face? I gave to my mother. She needs more than you. And as if the humiliation was not enough, he still expects her to prepare dinner, as if nothing had happened. This is not an invented story. It is the reality of many women who, like Stepanova, dedicate years of hard work to build a life, while their partners act as emotional and financial parasites. Amps was not any employee. In 10 years she climbed positions in a technology multinational, leaving a junior vacancy to lead a project team. Her salary not only supported the house, but also playing her husband's accommodated lifestyle, Konstantin, a mediocre manager who has never covered her career. To complete the painting, there was mother-in-law, Nina Vasilievna, an expert in acid comments and passive age-shand manipulation that treated her daughter-in-law as a free maid. The year had been especially good for A substantial bonus, almost 1,000,000 rubles, finally allowed him to make a dream come true, to change his old car, a Kia who lived more in the workshop than on the street, for a Hyundai Crete 0 km. She chose every detail carefully, the metallic silver color, the safest version, the ideal space for the family. When he announced his purchase to her husband, the reaction was a mere shrugging. Do as you want, it's your money. But that disinterest hid something much worse. The certainty that, deep down, he thought he was entitled to everything he was. The mother-in-law, of course, wasted no time. Seeing the new car, she solved with a poisonous smile, walking in the luxury, while I, poor old man, I have to squeeze on crowded buses. Always diplomatic, he tried to argue, Nina Vasilievna, you don't even have a driver's license. The answer was a discharge. Do you think 65 is late to learn? The problem is that no one offers to take me. Once again, Amps swallowed the comment. After all, she was used to ignoring the provocations, all in the name of a family peace that actually never existed. That night, Amps worked late, ending an urgent report. He warned her husband that he would arrive late, but, as always, he didn't even bother to answer with more than one dry okay. When she finally got home, almost 10 p.m., the tiredness was so great that she could barely think. But something was wrong. His car was not in the usual place. It must have some other space, he thought, and parked in a neighboring courtyard. Upon entering the house, the smell of chips received her, a sign that, for the first time in months, Konstantin had been backed by cooking. But the illusion of care lasted seconds. He was thrown on the couch, a can of beer in his hand, his eyes stuck to the TV. When she asked the car keys, the answer was a low blow. Your mother took. My mother? Why? Amps felt the floor disappear. Because I gave her the car. She needs more. The sentence fell like a blade. You're kidding, aren't you? She whispered, her voice shaking. But the joke was with her. Stop facing me, you're idiot. My mother is elderly, needs comfort. And you? Always had that old car, aren't you? He said, without even turning his eyes off television. Besides, we're married. Everything is ours, isn't it? Those seconds were enough to understand a painful truth. She was not a partner for that man. It was an ATM. A maid. An invisible person whose efforts only served to feed the ego and the selfishness of others. The anger boiled, but she controlled herself. He went to the kitchen, prepared dinner with shaking hands while his mind worked over 1,000. Half an hour later, it served the plate. Konstantin didn't even look at her. Ate as if nothing had happened. It was then that Amps took his bag, looked at him in the eye for the last time and said, I go to my parents' house. I need to rethink this marriage. The taxi took her through the sleeping city as she revisited every humiliation, every moment she had silent to maintain peace. Her parents received her with a tight hug. Between tears and cups of tea, she told everything. This is theft, my daughter, exclaimed her mother. You bought that car with your sweat. This is not quite common, it's yours. Already knew. Even before arriving, she had called the police. The next day, he filed a police report. The documents were all in order, invoice, proof of transfer, all in her name. The policeman assured that the case would be investigated urgently. It was not long before Konstantin panicked. When the police appeared at his mother's house to seize the car, he called furiously, "You went crazy. My mother is in tears." The answer from Amps was firm, "No, Konstantin. Who went crazy was you, thinking you could steal me and go unpunished. That car is mine, and you acted like a thief. But we are a family," he shouted. "Family respects yourself. Family consults yourself. You and your mother knew very well that this car was mine, and yet they conspired against me," she countered, without blinking. "Remove the complaint, Amp. Let's talk." "There's nothing to talk about. I'm going with divorce." The silence on the other end of the line was eloquent. "Divorce? You can't do that." "I can, and go." That was the water drop, Konstantin. 10 years enduring disrespect, manipulation, and ingratitude. Enough. When he hung up, for the first time in a long time, Amps felt a deep relief. It was not the end. It was the beginning of something she should have done a long time ago, putting herself first. And while the night fell, someone knocked on the door of the parents of Amps. It was Nina Vassilievna, probably ready for another emotional blackmail scene. But this time, Amps would not be alone. And for the first time, she wouldn't retreat. Nina Vassilievna screamed outside, demanding that Amps go out to talk. The door opened, but it was not the daughter who appeared. The father of Amps crossed his arms in the stop, the firm voice as tempered steel. "Nina Vassilievna, calm down. Amps don't want to talk to you. How does she dare?" He ran the woman, the injected eyes with anger. "She filed a complaint against my son. He just wanted to help his own mother at the expense of his wife, without her knowing. This is called theft, Nina Vassilievna," the father replied, without raising his tone, but with a clarity that cut as a blade. "And it doesn't matter if she is a husband or wife. That car was bought with the money from Amp. Belongs to her. Now, I ask you to leave our property. Otherwise, I will call the police." Nina Vassilievna's fingers closed on trembling fists. She spit a series of curses along the way, but retreated, defeated for the first time in years. A week later, Amp's car was returned, immaculate, as if nothing had happened. That same day she filed the divorce request, citing irreconcilable differences as a reason. Konstantin called. Appeared at her parents' house. He pleaded, promised to change, swore eternal love. Amps did not even answer the door. She rented an apartment near work, a small but yours. Each furniture, each object was chosen without consulting anyone, without asking permission. And when the day of the divorce hearing arrived, A decided to prepare something special. Invited Konstantin and Nina Vassilievna to a farewell dinner, a gesture of reconciliation. They accepted, convinced that La had weakened. The table was set at the parents' house, white towel, silver cutlery, the aroma of its famous meat pie, Konstantin's favorite, hovering in the air. Nina Vassilievna wasted no time. Between fork, he complimented his son as if he were a saint, implying that was making the greatest mistake of life in leaving him. "A man like him is not twice," he said, as he served another portion of puree. It was at the time of dessert that A rose. Instead of a cake, it brought a dark leather paste. "Here's the candy," he said, smiling. Konstantin frowned. "What is that?" "All of our financial extracts from the last 10 years, she answered, flipping through the documents calmly. "I analyzed every expense, every lace. In a decade of wedding, I contribute 4 times more than you to our budget. I paid most of my accounts, supermarket purchases, clothing, appliances. Not to mention the holidays, which also came out of my pocket." Konstantin crossed his arms, his face already losing his color. "So what? Hence, legally, all this is well acquired in common," he continued, sliding another roll on the table. "Unless it is proved that it was bought with exclusive resources. Like, for example, she hit the car's cover. My Honda CR-V pays fully with my performance award. Unlike anything else you think is yours. ***. The next document was an agreement of division of goods. In it, Constantine would only be with what he had bought alone, such a short list that would fit in a napkin. "You can't do that," he murmured, his voice failing. "I can. And I'm doing." Amps collected the papers, his eyes shining with a coldness he had never seen in her. "You set the rules, Ko, when you decided you could have my own without asking. Now it's reaping what you planted." Nina Vasilievna got up from a jump, the chair gritting against the floor. "This is a robbery." "No, Nina Vasilievna," I stared at her, Serena. "This is justice. His son lived 10 years at my expense while treating me as a fixed salary maid. And you encouraged you. Now the account has arrived." The next day, the judge had no doubt. The documents were irrefutable. Constantine lost most of the goods, including the car bought 2 years ago registered in his name, but paid, proven, by A. Upon leaving the forum, she approached her ex-husband for the last time. "You know, Ko," he said, adjusting the bag on his shoulder. "If you had asked your mother for help, I would have taken her where she needed it. We would have bought a car together if it was really necessary. But you preferred to betray me. And this," she pointed to the folder he held, now a dead weight on his hands, "it was his last plate on our table." He saw her walking away, her erect back, her head raised. There was no hatred in his footsteps. Only the certainty of who had finally broke free. 5 years later, Amps signed the promotion contract, development manager. His 3-bedroom apartment, in the best condominium in town, had a view of the park. Honda CR-V, faithful, was still running like new, although she already researched a more luxurious model. Twice a year, ready-made bags, stamped passport, Paris, Tokyo, Bali. Until, on an ordinary afternoon, when leaving a mall, she saw them. Constantine pushed a supermarket cart, his curved shoulders, his face marked by wrinkles that were not there 5 years earlier. Beside, Nina Vasilievna pointed to the fruits, criticizing her choice. "This avocado is too mature, you don't see?" He nodded, submissive, as he had always been with his mother. When his eyes met, Constantine froze. For a second, Amps saw the raw panic in his gaze, the same as he had that night when she served dessert. Nina Vasilievna realized the direction of her son's gaze, pressy. He on his lips on a thin line, and whispered something in his ear. He lowered his head, pushed the cart toward an old, rusty, parked lid anyway. Armvest entered his CR-V, turned on the engine and smiled when he saw the reflection in the rearview mirror. Some meals, after all, are difficult to digest. But she had no regrets. Sometimes the best lesson is one that ardo enough to never be forgotten. And by the way Constantine avoided his gaze, that dinner had been impeccable.